Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Storied Church podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm so glad you are here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen. If you're new and this is your first time here with us, I really hope you find your time with us meaningful. We would love to meet you and get to know you, and you can find a couple of ways to do that on our website at storiedchurch.org, at storied, S-T-O-R-I-E-D, church.org, or you can find us on social media, and we would love for you to follow us on Instagram and or Facebook at Storied Church. We hope that our sermons and our ruminations are thoughtful and meaningful reflections that help us take our next steps together on our journey. Enjoy. Really thankful that our guest, council member of Burlington, Dejuana Bigelow, is here, and yay! We're so excited. And I also just want to say just how grateful we are just for you taking the time out to be here with us today. I have a little introduction for you today. So Dejuana is the first African American woman sworn into the Burlington City Council. She is a committed community leader from Burlington, where she owns a women's clothing store. She co-chairs the Community Police Advisory Team and has established neighborhood watch programs. As a board member for the Alamance Partnership for Children and founder of Women Empowering Women, she has received multiple awards for her community service. She supports local initiatives for families in need and raises her two young children. I think that's important to celebrate, because so often parents are like, I'm too busy to make it, and I'm sorry, you can't say that today. And she supports local initiatives for families in need and raises her two children in Burlington with her husband, Lee, who we're glad to have here today as well, while working as a healthcare administrator at UNC Health. And so welcome. I invite you to come and take a seat, and the mic is all yours. So like I said, I provide you with the questions, and I will try not to ask questions that I did not provide you with. Try is the key. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what has brought you to this moment.
Good morning. Good morning. Definitely grateful to be here. Definitely thank you for the invitation to come out here.
Absolutely.
With Storied Church today.
Is it? Oh, he might. Okay, there you go. It's on now.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're gonna turn it up a little bit.
And normally I'm loud. But I was just saying, good morning. Definitely grateful to be here. We thank you for the invitation to come out here and worship with the Storied Church today. I'm grateful for the area for my children, because that's right, we are raising two small children. So I'm definitely grateful for Miss Kia having a safe space for them, and they are enjoying themselves. I have no idea where my son is right now. There he is. So definitely thank you for making it a family environment. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. You basically captured it. We are raising our family. I work full-time. My husband actually works full-time in Mebane. So we're grateful. It kind of felt like I was going to his town today as well. He's been at Sandvik for over 20 years. That's somewhere locally on the backside right here. So we love God. First of all, we are believers. That's first and foremost. I think when you look at titles and, being a council member, and especially being the first African American council member, those things are great, right? But the one thing that he promised me when I initially was going to run is, don't change and don't forget, who we are and who you are. If you can do that, I'm going to support you 100%. So when you ask who I am, we are a family. I'm very family oriented, and we are believers. That's what I would say. But you would say all of that, right?
Thank you. So today we're exploring the story of Jesus. Now I think I'm feeding back here. Hold on one second. This drives me more crazy than it does other people. But today we're exploring the story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman, and we're focusing on how Jesus built bridges with those whom Jewish people often struggled to see as fully human. In light of our current divisions politically, the large question that I wanted to ask you today is threefold. Do you think it's possible to mend those rifts? Being in Alamance County, with how divisive our community can be, and have you witnessed examples of that?
Well, absolutely. I would not be in this position if I felt that we could not mend some of the issues that are happening in Alamance County. I mean, look at me today. I'm here at a predominantly white church. Like, that shows that we are working to mend those things, and we're willing to get to know one another and to see each other as human, as believers, regardless of where we live, our sexual orientation, the color of our skin. Like, we're proving right now that it can be done. So wholeheartedly believe that it can. What was your second question?
Examples of that, like people you've worked with in the community that you might not have imagined working with or being in the same room as, but you're like, you found some like commonality of like life. It might not be over politics.
The one thing I love and the one thing I would say is this: sticking to your roots, knowing who you are and why you're there. So in those places where it's uncomfortable and you're with those who may not necessarily believe like you, they may not want to fight for the same issues as you, but I think it's very important to still show up and be yourself, to know why you're there. And the more that you do that, I think it allows others to be comfortable around you and knowing who you are and what you represent. So of course, I've definitely faced challenges being in a new role, and just even in fact, just in the community itself. But I come from a family, like my grandmother, she always took care of those who we would turn our heads on and look the other way. Looking back, she's always been there, like the man that may be in the road because he's been drinking at the corner store. She was there to make sure that he, was safe, get him to safety. So for me, those who others turn their heads on, those are my people. So so of course, both ways, being in office and just in our community, a lot of people, and I think that's why, I know that's what we're fighting for, to make sure that every family is represented, regardless of your past. I was actually at Officer J. Smith's funeral yesterday, and the one thing that I loved about all the remarks that people said about Officer J. Smith from the Burlington Police Department, who just recently passed, is that Jay taught us to respect the suspect and the victim. So in our community, even though we can look at them as suspects, right? We all have our biases, and we all assume that certain people are whatever we assume. But the respect should always be there, regardless.
Yeah. Only if we could talk about one another when we're living, the same way we talk about people at funerals.
Exactly.
In talking about discomfort, I feel like most of us want comfort a majority of the time.
Absolutely.
Which we should not live our entirety of our lives in discomfort. Can you talk a little bit more, like being uncomfortable and how you might use that for benefit in your life?
For instance, being uncomfortable. In the community I grew up in, police are very, unwelcome, right? There is this fear. There is a real sense of danger to see police in East Burlington. Even if you're doing everything correct, when you see a police officer, you automatically think, like, am I going to live today after this stop? Am I going to still be here? So I think I've always wanted to acknowledge and have those hard conversations about situations with community safety when it comes to the police. So I'm used to being in that uncomfortable place, right? But I think that because of the working with others in Burlington has made the conversation easier to have, because once you have the trust of the people, they know that your word is true. They know that you're going to show up and deliver like you said you would. And after a certain time, once you build that trust, then you can begin to have conversations such as police brutality and racial profiling. You know, those things are very uncomfortable. Those are uncomfortable conversations. You're vulnerable, especially when you're talking about mending those hurts. So with me being in this position and before being a council person, you know, I was always on community safety. I always wanted to mend, you know, I worked with the Burlington Police Department. I served as the chair of the Community Police Advisory Team, where we actually met with the police officers every month, the chief of police, the city manager, and things like that. So I think those grassroots efforts of having those conversations definitely is what led me to becoming chair of that board. But it's up to us. People see us. You know, we're out at the grocery store, we're passing, we're at the doctor's appointments, and we see people. It's very important to be intentional. You know, when you're an intentional leader, it makes those uncomfortable conversations much easier. And we have to be bold. If we're going to run for something, stand for something, we have to definitely do it. The people are watching, and those encounters that we're having with people on a daily basis, they matter.
I went to a LGBTQ safe zone training, which is something I would love to see, to collaborate with like local community efforts to do something like that locally. But one of the things they were saying is like there's allies and then there's accomplices.
Correct.
Allies are just like vocal, I support. Accomplices are I'm entering myself into uncomfortable places to advocate. And I love that. And I think so often we're like, I'm an ally. But the accomplice is in uncomfortable conversations and places.
The one thing I'm grateful for is once I was elected, of course, I had to come off of the Community Police Advisory Board. But I spoke to Ken Smith. He had been there the entire time. We started in this role together. Ken Smith is openly gay. And I asked him, like, you're ready. I believe that you're here for the right purpose. I believe that you care about our community. You know the issues. Like, are you ready to go ahead and chair this board as I exit? And he was ready. To me, it did not matter his sexual orientation. I saw the man. I saw the human. I know that he cared. I know that he's supportive. And I know that, you know, Ken would do the right thing. So for me, there are times when you are an ally. I think even for Ken, there are times I'm an ally for him. But I think in that moment when, of course, everybody's going to judge me. They're not going to want me to be the chair of this board. What do you mean? Like, Dejuana, you're really crazy. I'm going to support you. I'm going to get in there and be your accomplice. So I think there's a either or sometimes you have to do both. Yeah,
absolutely. So has there been a constituent that has convinced you something that you may have disagreed with at first, but they have made you change your mind in terms of like policy, or you saw their humanity in something and you thought, okay, well
that was the hardest. That's a hard
I think
question.
That everybody has said that's the hardest question every week. They're like, oh man, can we skip that one?
I guess if I had to say anything, it would be constituents. So I would say a lady spoke at one of the council meetings. Matter of fact, our last council meeting. And of course, she's a Burlington resident, but she was upset that we have the no chickens are allowed in the city. And I was kind of looking at her like, lady, we do buy those eggs, and we are grateful for those eggs, you know. So that's one of those things. And then knowing that Mebane allows chickens. I actually ran into Councilwoman Katie and Matrina earlier in the week, and Mebane allows chickens based on, I think it was like 10 chickens per, based on the size. Now, I think they have like some fencing. Elon allows chickens, so it's kind of like she has a point. You know, she has a point. So yeah, I'll just stick with that one as far as.
I love it. My last question is if you had a freebie that you walked into the city council and they just all had to agree with you on an issue, what issue would you one genie wish?
Besides chickens.
Besides chickens, yeah. Hopefully it's grander than chickens.
That's hard. Okay. Then my freebie would be that there is no one in Burlington living in the streets, in the parks. Everyone would have housing. Everyone would have an opportunity to a job, you know, to be able to work to pay for that house. That would be that's my freebie.
Awesome. So we had, for the past few weeks, I don't know if anybody's taking notes, we've had the first freebie for Seneca was education. Fully funded education.
That's a good one.
Last week, I think Quinn's was non-discriminatory ordinance in the city of Elon. And this week, that everybody would have a place to lay their head and that they would be safe. And so,
absolutely,
I think this, what I hopefully am in getting into our veins over the next few weeks is that our dreams can become realities.
Absolutely.
And I think our kids have an imagination. When you can like just say, hey, all right, if you don't have any barriers standing in your way, what is it? And how beautiful it is to come to those.
This has been like the most amazing opportunity is actually to see the kids together. They have no
rather quiet too.
Yeah. They don't care, you know, where they live, where each other lives, the color of their skin. I mean, they literally just jumped in there and they're playing together, and that's the dream. That's the goal, right? And I think that oftentimes people don't realize how our goals truly do align. I think is how we get there is most of the time what actually separates us. But that seeing those children together playing, that does my heart good. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Again, we want to thank you for listening today to the Storied Church podcast. We really hope that we get to meet you soon. And again, you can visit us at storiedchurch.org, or you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We hope that you have a wonderful week. Hi, everyone. It's Jason again. And before you go today, I just wanted to just take one moment of your time. Maybe you are a regular attender at Storied Church, or somebody that has found our podcast and you're just listening and you find it valuable. I just want to ask a huge favor. Our church is located in North Carolina, Alamance County, and we are one of the only open and affirming, reconciling, progressive, whatever word you want to label on that church here in Alamance County. And so we're just a really important voice of hope in this place. Every organization, including ours, takes funding, and the church has changed, and so we're trying to be creative in our funding. But I know it's a different ask, that especially if you don't live here in North Carolina.
But if you would support us or consider supporting us with a one-time gift or even a monthly gift, it would mean the world. And thank you so much for even considering. You can give by going to storiedchurch.org/give. I hope you do. We would love your partnership and your friendship. Thanks again.